In the year 2154, sickness is rife across the decaying slums that have overtaken the cities, and the earth is filthy, massively overpopulated. On Elysium, a Stanford Taurus high-tech space station just beyond the Earth's atmosphere, the richest people have abandoned the globe and sought sanctuary. People in Elysium are overseen by President Patel in a utopian society where access to private medical devices, known as med bays, that offer fast treatments for almost any illness or injury a person may face is available, while those on Earth are policed by cruel robots. Max DaCosta and Free Santiago, two young people, are living among the ruins of Los Angeles, where the land is now a large desert and inhabitants only have access to small shacks. Since Free is literate, she reads Max tales of Elysium. Max shares a home with a caring nun in an orphanage. He was born to accomplish great things, the nun claims. Years later, at the age of 36, Max has a lot of tattoos and a technological ankle bracelet. He's getting ready to get on a bus and go to work. He is in line and is being approached by two security robots. Max responds in a sarcastic manner when asked what he is carrying in his pack. They assault him twice, ripping off his backpack before breaking his wrist. He is routinely targeted for harassment since he is a felon, a past vehicle thief, and is now on parole. Max, known as Number 6722, and Free, who is now a nurse, run into each other by mistake at the clinic where he goes to get his arm fixed. She refuses Max's invitation to go out for coffee. She finally consents to see him soon. The robots had given Max the order to visit his parole officer, who was also a robot. Max's parole is extended since the robot parole officer can detect attitude and doesn't like Max's. Max is then presented with a medication by the robot to help lower his high heart rate. Max chuckles and lowers it. Max works on an assembly line for Armadyne Corporation, which also makes the robots that patrol Earth for law enforcement purposes. For being late, the shift manager deducts half a day's wages from his paycheck. Some residents of Los Angeles were able to raise money for an illegal immigration scheme, which they used to get Elysium identifying brands on their wrists. They then boarded 3 run-down-looking shuttles, which took off and flew towards Elysium. Codes are needed for the shuttles, and those were also taken. The defense secretary for Elysium is a lady named Delacourt, who speaks French. When she receives word that 3 unapproved shuttles are on their way, she disregards Executive Order 355 and activates CM, a rogue sleeper agent on Earth Kruger. Kruger pulls out a shoulder-fired ground-to-air missile launcher and launches 4 missiles right away. All 46 passengers on board 2 of the shuttles that were destroyed after being pursued by missiles were killed. The other shuttle arrives at Elysium and touches down. As robots and helicopters pursue the shuttle's passengers. Rushing into a home, one mother and her daughter who were aboard the shuttle that landed discover a med bed. When the girl's wrist is scanned, it becomes clear that she is an inhabitant of Elysium. After evaluating her physical state and concluding that she had several fractures, a machine starts to fix the damaged bones. The incident leads to 32 arrests, 13 casualties, and 2 people still at large. The mother and daughter were on the run, but they were quickly found. The 34 are all ready to be sent back to Earth. Max's friend Julio tries to persuade him to rejoin the game of car theft, but he rejects the offer because he wants to finish his parole and find a means to travel to Elysium. Next day. A pallet blocks the robot shooting unit door at Max's workstation. Max is given the mandate by the boss to open the door or risk losing his job. Max is forced to cram himself inside the space and move the pallet away from the door. When he does, the unit turns on and the door crashes shut, killing Max with radiation. Another robot informs him that he will pass away from organ failure in 5 days after he is eventually dragged from the chamber and sent to a medical facility. John Carlyle, the CEO of Armadyne, descends to the factory floor to investigate the problem. He orders Max to be removed from the infirmary after noticing him lying on a bed so he won't ruin the linens. In order to ease Max's agony and maintain him physically healthy till his death, a robot administers him some medications. Delacourt is called in by President Patel. The president and his government are shown her. They are not pleased with her for using Kruger to carry out her order to shoot the shuttles down. Delacourt is arrogant because she slams Patel and all but brands him a coward who, in the absence of people like her, would see Elysium destroyed. If Delacourt makes another mistake, Patel says she'll be fired. She is to quit using Kruger, he commands. Kruger is furious and feels betrayed when he finds out. Max is unable to walk as he leaves the hospital, and Julio runs to assist him. Some of the medications are taken by Julio with him. Max tells Julio that in order to travel to Elysium, he needs to speak with Spider, the rebel who is in charge of the shady transports there. Max is compelled to travel right away because he needs a med bay to recover. Matilda, Free's little daughter, suffers from seizures. She had been bringing her to work with her, but she was told to leave her daughter at home because the physicians couldn't treat her. When Max and Julio arrived at the sophisticated rebel command post, Max asked Spider for an identifying badge and a ticket to Elysium, while making a commitment to return and work for him. He reminds Spider of the 3 years of prison time he served for him. Spider makes Max a proposition. If he can gain access to a higher-ranking official's mind and extract passcodes and other classified information that would give Spider access to money, he'll ensure that Max can travel to Elysium. Max must allow what seem to be little more than glorified tattoo artists to do surgery on him. They hook a data collection device to Max's brain and attach a third-generation powered exoskeleton to his body. Max gains the droid-like strength from the exoskeleton. Max explains to Spider that John Carlyle had to be the high-level target and that his friend Julio had to be a part of the arrangement. Delacourt makes a deal with Carlyle to develop a program that can overwrite Elysium's computer core in exchange for the presidency, swearing to safeguard Elysium and her own power. A 200-year contract for the provision of basic services to the Elysium community would benefit Carlyle. Carlyle creates a brand new computer protocol Saber Cerebral Defense and installs it into his own brain-computer interface. Additionally, he uses a denial system to encrypt it, which would make it fatal for anyone attempting to download and use the application. He then gets on a shuttle and takes off for Elysium. Along with using 2 quick armored vehicles, Max, Julio, and a few of Spider's guys arm themselves. They set out to stop Carlyle because they are aware of his intended flight to Elysium. The shuttle locks on near one of the engines as Max fires an explosive device at it. The explosive device must be set off quickly because the shuttle's supersonic transition takes only 15 seconds. The explosive is set off after the shuttle has left the launch complex and traveled a short distance, forcing it to crash land. As soon as Delacourt learns that Carlyle's shuttle has crashed, she phones Kruger. If Kruger chooses to go rescue Carlyle, Kruger insists that he be reinstated. Delacourt agrees and then sets up the pickup of Kruger by 2 of his former associates. One of the 2 droids who were on the shuttle with Carlyle confronts Max and his men when they get to Carlyle's shuttle. After a tough battle, Max kills one droid. Then one of the soldiers uses a tool to create a hole in Carlyle's shuttle's hull, allowing access to him. The second droid emerges from the other side and turns to face Max. One of the soldiers can't see where his shots are going since he is concealing his body while shooting his weapon. Carlyle, who has been shot in the chest, is warned by Max not to hit him. After a hand-to-hand struggle, Max finally tears the droid's head off. A head-to-head computer connection between Max and the rapidly deteriorating Carlyle is immediately established by Max and his men. But something is amiss, and Max's computer specialist claims he cannot interpret the data being exchanged. They have run out of time since Kruger and his henchmen have shown up. Max falls when he tries to run, and Julio must stop to assist him because the downloaded data is giving Max head agony. The weaponry Kruger has on board the shuttle are incredibly potent. He fires and knocks one of the vehicles Max and his crew were driving over. Kruger lands his shuttle, exits, and stabs Max. When Julio shoots Kruger in the neck, he is just about to decapitate Max. Julio is ruthlessly cut down by Kruger with his sword. When Max regains consciousness, he attempts to shoot Kruger, but he is stopped by a force field. Delacourt gives the order for Max to be taken prisoner on Elysium while having his brain protected. Max succeeds in escaping as Carlyle passes away. An elderly woman hides Max under her cart full of pigs, assisting him in avoiding detection as he stumbles along with Kruger and his men pursuing him in the shuttle equipped with cutting-edge tracking technology. 6 tracking discs that Kruger releases start flying over the city in an effort to find Max. For Kruger to be able to search without obstruction, Delacourt orders a no-fly order for all aircraft in the Los Angeles region. Calling out to Free as she was leaving her job, Max goes to visit her. He begs her for assistance and tells her she has no one to inform. She brings him to her house, where she has all the medical equipment she needs to help him. He has a tattoo of a circle and the letters M+F, which she once put on his hand with an ink pen when they were kids, as she is attending to his stab wound. Free rescues Max, and he meets Matilda as a result. Max is informed by Free that Matilda has leukemia. In order to be healed, she asks Max to figure out a method to bring Matilda to Elysium. Max informs her that he cannot do it because it is too dangerous. Max simply apologizes before leaving. Once Max has returned to the streets, one of the search discs locates him. Before Max can knock it out of the sky, Kruger notices him and throws a rock at it. Quickly arriving at Free's home, Kruger and his men burst in and demand to know where Max is. Free and Matilda travel in the shuttle with them. Max visits Spider and requests that he immediately fly him to Elysium. Max is informed by Spider that there is a no-fly order in place, thus it cannot be done. Spider then establishes a connection to Max's head's port to examine what information had been transmitted from Carlisle's head. He rapidly learns that it is a reboot program for Elysium, which is a very important item. Max decides to depart after realizing he can exchange the data for his treatment. In a hurry, Spider must tell his guys not to shoot Max. Max goes back to the spot where he had thrown the disc and stares into its camera before calling for Kruger to come retrieve him. When Kruger shows up, Max pulls the pin on a grenade and threatens to blow his own head off and destroy the reboot program unless he is taken to Elysium. Max is welcomed aboard the shuttle by Kruger, where he is shocked to find Free and Matilda. The 19-minute journey to Elysium begins. Spider had a tracking device attached to Max before he took off, so he knows that he is on a shuttle headed for Elysium. Aboard their own shuttle, Spider and two of his men depart towards Elysium. Kruger gives Free a forehead kiss while singing gently to Matilda. Max orders a Kruger associate to back off when he approaches Free. The grenade in Max's hand is subsequently seized by Kruger as he rushes for it. They battle. As Max and Kruger collapse, the explosive is released. Kruger's face is destroyed and explodes up in half. Additionally, the spacecraft loses control and flies into Elysium. After moving Matilda to a secure location away from the shuttle, Max unlocks the doors and returns to rescue Free, who was stowed away in her seat. As the security personnel from Elysium arrive, she goes and frees Matilda before carrying her into a mansion. Max must engage in combat with one of the bad guys on the shuttle. In the meantime, the second evil guy flees in pursuit of the women. Matilda is placed in a healing bed inside the mansion, but the bed is inoperable because Matilda isn't accepted as a legal resident. Arriving and tasering Free is Kruger's goon. Max ultimately receives a taser as well. Delacourt wants the data removed from Max's skull, which her expert says will kill Max because she has informed President Patel that the intruders have committed an act of war and that she is now in command. That's okay with her. Spider arrives in his clunky old shuttle and makes a safe landing. He moves right away to where Max is said to be, according to his tracking device. Free and Matilda are taken away by Kruger's thugs. Kruger is placed in a machine that reconstructs his head and face in its entirety in around 30 seconds. Later, he awakens. Only because the grenade blast had not injured his brain. The two lab technicians who were working on Max are disabled when Max escapes from his restraints. One of them is coerced into telling him where Free and Matilda were taken. Delacourt approaches Kruger, who is still uneasy and extremely tense. He violently destroys the mirror he was using to check his face when she starts berating him for irresponsibly crashing the shuttle in a suburban neighborhood. He grabs a sizable chunk and shoves it down Delacourt's throat. She collapses while heavily bleeding. Free is informed by Kruger that he intended to prevent her daughter's recovery. To destroy the command and control system in Elysium, Kruger's thugs begin to prowl the area while throwing grenades. Delacourt refuses to let Matilda continue with her wound care, choosing instead to pass away. They discuss their immediate plans after Max contacts Spider. Max takes his final painkiller before heading to the armory. After donning a military-grade exoskeleton that is significantly superior to Max's droid suit, Kruger gives his goon orders to murder Free and Matilda. The goon intends to have some fun with Free first, but Max arrives first and, after taking those drugs, has superhuman strength, so he simply crushes the goon by smashing him against the ground. As the second assailant approaches, Max takes an automatic weapon and dispatches him. With the assurance that it would succeed this time, Max orders Free to bring Matilda to a med bay before sending them to the surface. Max joins forces with Spider, reminding him that their agreement is contingent on Free delivering her daughter to a med bay. One of Spider's men is dispatched to assist Free. One of Spider's guys is destroyed by Kruger. Max is rendered disabled by some high-frequency sounds that are transmitted because he cannot stand them. Then Kruger uses his blade to pursue Max. Spider tackles Kruger before he can stab Max, and Kruger's blade flies many levels below. Spider is then removed from the battle by Kruger, who shoves a dagger into his hand. Max and Kruger fight each other with their hands. When Max abruptly performs a body flip and disengages Kruger's exoskeleton power source on the way down, the battle appears to be over for him. Max is eventually clipped to a railing by Kruger, who then prepares to blow them both up by pulling the pin on a grenade. Kruger and the grenade are both flipped over the railing by Max after he frees himself. Kruger detonates in the air. Spider connects a cable to the port in Max's brain. Spider first ascertains that Max is okay with moving on because Max will die throughout the data download process. Prior to confirming, Max communicates with Free and bids her farewell. The moment President Patel and his security team come to take Spider into custody, Max pushes enter on Spider's computer. Everyone on Earth is made an Elysium citizen after the Elysium relaunch. Max passes away, Spider is set free, Matilda recovers, and a large number of aid shuttles are dispatched to Earth to assist the new residents.